There are 2 teams left in the college football season, and we have some information that could help you with your props betting. Producer, hit that button. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and bigz. I am bigz. He is Grindberg. Mike, I was thinking the other day, after, all of my fantasy winnings from 2025, what if I just buy cool things and then how am I going to fund my buy-ins for 2026? Well, I'm going to go to Underdog, and I'm going to bet on this NCAA championship game and see if I can't get a little nest egg together to fund my 2026 teams. Does that sound like a good idea?
It sounds like a great idea, man. I'm looking forward to hearing what you got as your big picks here for the week.
I don't have picks. I'm not giving financial advice. We are just previewing the game so that people can,
make their
hear
analysis.
A little snippet here and there and apply it.
There we go. And it's been a busy off season already here, and let's get going here, bigz. I mean, this is a national championship game here, and I got 2 teams that are pretty much on fire here, and let's break it down, bigz. And let's talk about the first segment, and that's kind of just breaking down the game here. And I'm going to talk about Indiana, their rise to the championship. It doesn't feel real. It's exactly why it's must-see TV. It's a program that's been defined by, futility. Now sits undefeated, Fernando Mendoza, the architect, behind Kirk Cignetti's offense here. And he's staring at the Hurricanes, who you're going to break down after I talk a little bit about the Indiana's team here. And they're really good. They've been not built on an elite player here and there. I mean, that's to be, argued, because Fernando Mendoza is playing at an elite level right now, but they're built on a team that is just, not one guy is excelling. They're all contributing, and they're playing team football, and they're not stumbling in big moments either. They're kind of been steamrolling good teams all the way to the championship game, and Miami's got a really good pass defense and a really good pass rush. So I'm looking forward to see how Mendoza will line up there, under some pressure. Miami brings the pedigree, the home field advantage, the trench dominance. Indiana brings the inevitability here, the clash. It's going to be great. I am looking forward to this, and Fernando Mendoza, he's the headline act right now. He's playing lights out. He profiles as a high-floor, time-based NFL starter who will thrive in a structure system. I'm liking, him as not a just direct comparison to Baker Mayfield, but I like that trajectory here, but with fewer mistakes. He's not as versatile on the ground as Baker is, but he does bring some upside. Not that, rushing upside quarterback, but he brings, a weekly super flex stabilizer. And then you got to talk about Elijah Surratt, who is the kind of receiver that fantasy people underestimate until he keeps earning those targets. He's winning on routes, toughness, reliability. I'm projecting him as a chain mover in the NFL, probably like a wide receiver 3 that sticks on a roster potentially, maybe not, but a guy that is bringing some speed here and some fantasy intrigue is Roman Hemby, and 1,000-yard rusher, pass catching ability, downhill efficiency. He fits the mold of a committee back, but he's been playing pretty good here. And Omar Cooper Jr. is the other wide receiver that you'd want to look at as well. He offers a great upside, good line speed. He's got some juice vertically. He's got that awareness around him, and he's not a classic X receiver, but he's going to fit that mold a little bit here. So they're winning games, Indiana, and they're producing relevant talent that probably will do decent in the NFL. Mendoza Bigz, you're going to love having him in the Raiders next year. I'm pretty sure he's going to go there unless something crazy happens and they move out of the number 1 pick. But they're on the championship stage, and I'm looking forward to seeing Mendoza put another stamp on what has been an incredible season for him, and I'm looking forward to him lighting this game up against a tough defense. Now, Bigz, how's Miami looking? What are your thoughts on them? I mean, they got Carson Beck, and he's been playing pretty good too. So why don't you break down that offense and the defense potentially and that matchup that you see here and what they're going to need to do to beat Indiana?
Well, it all starts with the coach, Mario Cristobal. This game is really a tale of two veteran, savvy coaches that know how to put together a program. You have some competition out there that have heavy recruiting classes like Notre Dame and Ohio State and Alabama and Oregon. And these two guys have just quietly gone ahead and put together programs that, based on coaching and team buy-in and all that stuff, have run through all of those teams that maybe got the better recruits or had the best recruit class grades. Mario Cristobal is an excellent recruiter. He's an offensive line guru, and this is the best team by wins in Miami's history, and they have multiple national championships. So essentially what he does is he wins in the trenches. It's all about the offensive line and the defensive line. They got a defensive star, Reuben Bain Jr. He's their edge rusher. He's going to try and cause havoc. You also have this little guy named Malachi Toney. He's a freshman, so he's not going to be fantasy relevant for at least another 2 more years. But as far as this game is concerned, he has 99 catches this season. They move him all over the formation. He runs out of the slot. He runs out of the outside. Lots of screens and quick slants. They give him end arounds. He makes people miss. He's just a little gadget guy that absolutely terrorizes people. Then you have Mark Fletcher Jr. So this is a guy that hasn't been on a lot of radars over the course of his career, and he had over 1,000 yards rushing this year. He runs kind of upright. He reminds me kind of like a Braylon Allen or a Derrick Henry light. He's just a big 225-pound dude that just like rushes like a bowling ball. He just knocks people down, and it's totally fun to watch him. And he's a rising junior this year, so it's going to be a question of whether he wants to come out. We're seeing running backs come out later in their college careers. They're staying for 4 or 5 years, but he would be eligible for the NFL draft if he wanted to come out tonight, or come out this year. And I feel like any guy that's over 225 pounds that wants to come out after just 3 years, that has a 1,000-yard season under his belt, I think that's a really, really good time to actually do that. On the receiving side, you have, again, 1,089 yards for Malachi Toney, and then Keelan Marion is another guy. He had 740 yards. C.J. Daniels added 7 touchdowns, and Elijah Lofton has been their primary tight end. He only has a couple hundred yards receiving, but they do have a whole bunch of offensive weapons. Now, looking into kind of like different factors in this game, we want to look at the weather, but this is Miami in January. There isn't rain in the forecast, but anytime you're in Miami, it could happen, and Miami's, like you said, playing a home game. Indiana has a physical ball control style. Miami uses high-speed explosive plays. They want those explosives. So in a game with good weather, that tends to favor Miami a little bit. The Hoosiers were 15-0. Miami dropped a couple games. The thing I'll say about Indiana is how good they are in the red zone. Fernando Mendoza specifically has 45 touchdowns without an interception in the red zone over the last 2 seasons. That's insane. That is taking care of the ball. That's being smart. You mentioned Baker Mayfield. I kind of like the Brock Purdy comp better. And Fernando Mendoza could be the type of Brock Purdy comp where Brock Purdy is playing good enough that if we knew how good he would be in the NFL, he wouldn't have been Mr. Irrelevant. He could have made a play for the 101. And I think that's what we're seeing with Fernando Mendoza. High floor, good player, super smart, doesn't make mistakes. And I like those guys as comparables. Indiana's very efficient in the red zone. Miami Hurricanes have a big defensive front that is really good, and they're explosive. Right now, Indiana is 8.5 point favorites. I think my money's on Miami.
There you go. You think of them covering or winning outright?
I would take them with the points. I mean, look, all season long, I have been counting Indiana out. I didn't think they were going to beat Oregon the first time. They did. I didn't think they were going to beat Ohio State. They did. I didn't think they were going to beat Oregon the second time. They did. Every time I underestimate Indiana, they come out with the victory, and that kind of you can't really account for that. You have to stop at a certain point and go, okay, I guess they are that good.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're that good, and I think that Mendoza, I think he's that good, and with that Signetti offense, I think it's just been looking really, really solid all year, and I think they cap off a dream season here and get the perfect score. But we shall see, right? Yeah, I mean, I love it. So that's why they play the games, right? And it's important for that.
And it's hard from a fantasy standpoint because obviously fantasy targets, and especially at this point of the season or preseason, they're pretty spread out. They're not centralized with one program. You don't have 3 or 4 guys from either program coming out where it's like, okay, this game has a lot of fantasy implications. It'll be good for viewers to get more exposure to Carson Beck, because I think he's probably the most underrated quarterback in the top 10-ish in this class. I think if there's any one quarterback who's going to have more success than people are anticipating out of this rookie class, it's going to be Carson Beck.
It's an interesting thing because Dante Moore now, he's going back, right? He's not declared, and that brings that talent pool down quite a bit. As far as a lot of analysts are concerned, and is there a hidden gem in this class outside of Mendoza now that could be a potential starter in the league? Like who might be the next guy up? Do you think, in your opinion?
Beck is that guy for me.
Okay.
And then the Georgia Tech quarterback Hayes King. I think he's one to look at or keep an eye on. I can't project his NFL success. I can't project where he's going to go in any draft, who likes him, who doesn't. Luckily, we're sending some correspondence down to the Senior Bowl in Mobile in a couple weeks. I'm going to be down there with Chev. We're going to be doing a bunch of scouting and interviews and film work and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that content. But we're going to be able to put eyes on a lot of people. And the Senior Bowl was the type of event where last year I landed on Jackson Dart. I landed on Jaden Higgins. Jalen Noel was very impressive. There were a bunch of guys that I forecast for fantasy success because of the ability to scout them on the field at the Super Bowl. And then there were some people like Xavier Restrepo and a couple other guys where I was like, you know what, they're not going to do much, and they didn't. So this is going to be another fun event, and whoever is down there, I'll be able to get a good look at and bring you some intel.
Awesome. Okay, we're looking forward to seeing that. And why don't you get us into your NFL Draft Watch spotlight then, Biggs? Who you got as a little bit of a sleeper here, a guy, or maybe a guy that is not a sleeper? Maybe he's over the radar here, and a guy that you just want to talk to the heavens about.
So I came up with 2 guys.
Okay.
One of them is a little bit deeper than the other, and that's tight end Oscar Delp from Georgia. The other is, he's kind of a top 10 guy, Jeremy Bernard from Alabama.
Jeremy, yeah.
But he's not among, the solid 1, 2, 3 guys that everybody's talking about. So tight end Oscar Delp out of Georgia, he's 6'5", 245 pounds. He's clocked at a 4.52 40. That's probably going to wind up, after the combine and everything, he's probably going to wind up being the fastest tight end in the class. When you look at his profile, he's a 4-star recruit. He's a deep threat because of his speed, and he has really, really good hands. They're his best trait. And he's not a blocker. He doesn't have a whole lot of blocking strength, which means that he's going to be the perfect candidate to be that big slot, play off the line, like not a traditional tight end in any case. The biggest comp to him is Luke Schoonmaker. So everybody that knows who Luke Schoonmaker is knows that whenever Jake Ferguson is down, Luke Schoonmaker is there, and he plays to a good ability. And I see Oscar Delp carving out a career like that. He may even get a better chance to be a receiver than Schoonmaker. The combine will tell us a lot, and he's my tight end sleeper for this year.
Sweet. Okay, man, that's awesome, dude.
And then Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver out of Alabama. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. He also runs a 4.52, which if you're a wide receiver and you got a tight end who can keep up with you, that's not great. But he's a possession receiver. Think of Jacoby Myers. He's, I think, an inch shorter than Jacoby Myers, but basically the same size. His greatest strength is intermediate routes. So if he can play in the slot, he can run crossers and stuff if he's lined up outside. And like I said, he's a possession receiver. His second best trait is his hands. So he can separate, and he uses his hands at a really high level to high point the ball and stuff like that. He's going to be a sleeper guy coming out. He's probably going to go day 3. And the comps are kind of all over the place as far as quality. Somebody has him comped to Jalen Polk, but he's much smaller than Jalen Polk. He's more the size of Brendan Rice. But with his route running ability and everything and his hands, he's got a JSN comp. So if you're going to be able to grab a guy in a rookie draft or have him as a late round stash in redraft next year, and he's going to be that second half boom guy, Jeremy Bernard very well could be that guy.
Yeah, I'm just starting to kind of look into his film and stuff like that. I'm starting to dig into his profile a bit, and you mentioned some really things that I've seen off the cuff, so I'm gonna have to look a little bit deeper into him. And as we uncover all these prospects as we're doing our work and getting this off season ready for you folks for your drafts, it's gonna be a lot of work, and we're digging in. And bigz has got a guy there, and I'm going to talk about a guy that is going to be showcased this week, and that's why I want to get the full scope of him before this offseason happens, because Mendoza, he's been the talk all season long here, and he's going to be the talk about the offseason. I think obviously getting into a new system, there's going to be a brand new head coach, and probably the Raider land here, bigz, if he does land there. It sounds like that's where it's almost inevitable at this stage, you would think. And he's winning around chaos, and things are happening for him. And I love what I saw from him last week. 5 touchdowns, 17 for 20 passing against Oregon in a very, important game. And this game on Monday is going to be just as important. And I think in the biggest stages, I'm going to be watching him, because I'm going to be watching him for a number of reasons. But I think his poise, his smarts, and the way he's going to command this offense against a very good defense that's going to be, pressuring him quite a bit in this game. I think this is going to really show me for this offseason, where I can comfortably draft him in 1 quarterback, but 2 quarterback leagues. And I think he's going to have a very safe floor. Like you mentioned, you're comparing him to that Brock Purdy type, and I don't disagree with you at all. I think that's a very good comp for him. And I think if Brock Purdy would have had that, first round draft capital, I would have been thinking that as well, as far as just a straight comp. And this is a guy that is very, very strong in the pocket. He's doesn't have the greatest deep ball, but that short intermediate route stuff, he's very smart. So he won't, be pushing the field if he knows he's not going to, complete that pass. So for me, he's going to be pushing maybe that Jeremiah Love status in super flex leagues, but maybe in dynasty and stuff like that. So that's a position that is very scarce right now. So Mendoza might be pushing things up the board here in those dynasty leagues. So that's why I'm going to be looking at him quite a bit over the next little while. And this game is going to be very much telling. And if he can continue that 70% plus completion percentage, he's just been steady, and I'm going to be looking for that over the next little while, and especially on Monday here, Biggs.
It's wild that a guy who was my team's quarterback for 2 seasons, and I liked him, didn't really see much, I figured he might go to the NFL, didn't think he was going to make a big splash or anything, and then all of a sudden he goes to a different environment, and boom, he wins a Heisman Trophy, and he's probably the 101 of the NFL draft. So, strange what a year can do.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a guy that is, very much around a system. So I think that's going to be needed in the NFL. So I think a lot is going to be telling on this offseason what the Raiders do there, and if they can put Mendoza in a right position to succeed, because he's going to need that. He's going to need an experienced coach that can put him in situations, and they've got a lot of weapons in the offense around him already, and they just need to patch up that offensive line a little bit here. And I think that Mendoza's got a pretty good future right out of the gate. Maybe you think they might even bring a bridge guy in here to let him sit a bit, or do you think he's going to be the outright starter from day one?
I can't speculate at this point without even knowing who the coaching staff is going to be. I'm hoping it's Clint Kubiak. I'm hoping Mike McDaniel becomes our offensive coordinator, even though that's like kind of a backwards move for him being a head coach before. But we've seen other coaches do that, where they find limited success at the head coach and then go back. Josh McDaniels is a perfect example. Tried the head coaching gig a couple times, didn't really pan out, goes back to the Patriots as an offensive coordinator, and lights up the league. So hopefully McDaniel can come in and provide that spark. The name that I keep hearing that is very intriguing to me is Davis Webb. He's a former Cal quarterback. He was a 1-year transfer in, so it's not like he was part of the program. And then he was a New York Giants quarterback for a little while. He has been the quarterback coach for Bo Nix in Denver, and he's interviewing for moving on from that position and possibly wanting to take an offensive coordinator job. That's the kind of thing that I want the Raiders to be looking at. Is here's a young guy who's a forward thinker, he's creative, and he's going to be here for a while. And so if you get a guy like Clint Kubiak, who's from that Kyle Shanahan tree, and he takes Davis Webb under his wing, and they create an offense together that benefits Fernando Mendoza, and they understand what they have with Fernando Mendoza, fix the offensive line a little bit. Just some competence in the building is going to be a huge, huge change, huge difference maker for the Raiders. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and if they bring in a star wide receiver as well to go along here with Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, I think there you go. You wish. But we'll see what happens. That's a pipe dream, but it could happen.
So
all right,
quickly,
man.
just for our viewers who want to get a head start on the season, these are some of the people that I'm going to be scouting down at the Senior Bowl. You could call this my watch list. Taylon Green, quarterback from Arkansas.
It's not.
Luke Altmaier, quarterback from Illinois. Jam Miller is a running back from Alabama. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, both Penn State running backs, will be down there. Le'Veon Moss from Texas A&M. Jonah Coleman from Washington, I'm really interested in seeing. Rasul Faison is somebody that not many people talk about. He's out of South Carolina. Bunch of running backs. And then at the tight end position, we have Josh Cuevas from Alabama, who doesn't get a lot of reps, but he does good things with them. Tanner Koziol is a big-time sleeper at the tight end position out of Houston. Can't wait to see him. North Carolina State's Justin Jolly. Sam Roush out of Stanford I had on a bunch of different Devy teams. I'm not going to say this. Okay. Nate Burkerkirker which that's fun. At the wide receiver position, Kevin Coleman Jr. from Missouri, Vinny Anthony from Wisconsin, Josh Cameron, a lot of like big time sleepers. Berrien Brown out of LSU, who I absolutely love. I can't wait to get to scout him and film him. Colin Lacey from Louisville, Malachi Fields from Notre Dame, Romello Brinson from SMU, and Jordan Hudson from SMU. Those guys are pretty good sleepers. Aaron Anderson, and then Casey Concepcion, one of our coaches' like biggest like rooting interests. He was at North Carolina State, and he transferred to Texas A&M. So I'm going to get to see Casey Concepcion, and then Jacoby Lane out of USC. It's going to be a great time. I'm going to have a ton of information, a lot of really good content coming for you guys. Daily updates. I'm going to have like constant releases of video of filming the practices and stuff like that. Wednesday is the media availability day, so I'm going to get to interview a whole ton of these guys and share that with you. So make sure that you're locked into Fantasy Sports Advice Network for that content. We're going to help you in your Debbie leagues. We're going to help you in your Campus to Canton, your Dynasty, and eventually it'll peter into redraft leagues because we're on it now.
We are on it now. All right, everybody, let's do it. What else are we got here? We're going to continue on, or are we done here, Biggs?
I have no idea.
All right. Let's end this show right now because it's been a banger. And, like Big said, follow us. We've been already on the prospects. We're going to be giving you an in-depth look at that. We got a draft guide in the works here, and the two of us are going to be contributing to it like we did last year. But we got a slew of guys writing from the Debbie Dojo, and it's going to be a really, really good guide this year. So be sure to check that out. A week after the Combine is when it's going to be released. So we've got some time to scout. We've got some players on the go, and Biggs and I are going to be talking a little bit about that behind the scenes in about 2 minutes here. So, yeah. We are on the ball, and things are happening here already here for you guys and girls. So follow us. Make sure to hit that bell, and we hope you win, folks.
We hope you win.
Peace.
So Rebecca wanted me to tell you